Welcome to Opinion Havers, a movie podcast for people who died in Nam. I'm Cody.
And I'm Tyler.
Tyler, what did we watch?
Cody, I am so glad you asked that. And you know, I'm so glad that we live in a country where you can have the freedom to ask such a question, all right? Where you don't have to worry on this platform about Zuck or Lon
or their moms.
Or their moms coming in and censoring.
Apparently that's the big hurdle.
You don't have to worry about your mom coming in and censoring your opinion on this movie.
If I'm 50 years old and my mom comes in and says, hey, you can't fight your friend for money, what's even the point? What's the point of being a billionaire if there's someone in your life that can say, you're not allowed to fight this man on television?
Oh,
you know
Cody, but they're not friends. That's the thing. It's personal now. Here's the thing that I find most wild. The Colosseum has been officially offered. The Roman Colosseum has been offered for this battle to the death. All right.
Yeah.
Not the one in California, the one in Rome, in Italy, in the old world. You know? Did they ever go there in the Indiana Jones movie? That's the question. Because, Cody, we're talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. There's no colons. There's no hyphens. There's no apostrophes. This movie knows what it is, and it ain't about any of that liberal, you know, what is it? The SJW pronoun stuff having, you know, it's just a title of a movie, right? They don't worry about none of that.
This is a movie about a man who's worried about one thing. Nazis, and if they're around. And you know what? Ooh, they're around, my guy. You know what? This is a good segue. I'm going to summarize the movie for you. Indiana Jones. We're back in the day. He's still fighting the Nazis because we're back in the day. Fast forward, it's in the future. Uh-oh, are there more Nazis? There might be. A blast from the past, a relic, a MacGuffin. We got to go on the adventure because otherwise, Nazis. You got to stop the Nazis. Got it. Look, if you're about to retire, press pause because there's Nazis to stop. That's the movie.
There's always a more Nazi, you know? That's what they say in Star Wars.
You think it's over.
There's always a bigger Nazi.
There's always a bigger Nazi. That's what, you know.
It's what
Tyler, how'd you like this one? What's your little quick take on it?
I'm so excited for this because I know for a fact, Cody, I know how you felt about this. You haven't told me about it, but I know. I know you. I know your liberal SJW pronoun having. Cody, do you deny that you have pronouns that you prefer?
I guess. I've been applying for jobs. Sometimes they have the option to. I'm like, I don't even care to put my pronoun. Like, why does it need to be my job application? I don't know. But one time they made me put them in, and I like rolled my eyes. I was like, this is so much more work. Like, I know I already have to answer 20 questions, but you know, for whatever reason, when you make me put my pronouns, I'm like, man, it's a whole other question to think about. So anyway, you know, to quote a woman I knew from the South, call me whatever you like as long as it's not late for dinner. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
It's that good old timey Southern saying. I have a whole page in my notebook, my diary from back in the day of all the things she said. This is some good ones. Busier than a cat on a hot tin roof. Busier than a one-armed paper hanger. That's a good one.
Now here's the thing, the one-armed paper hanger one, I don't know about that one. That one feels like that one's gonna get you, like you're gonna be running for office and this is gonna come back to bite you. You know, I might need to make a note to bleep that one just to be safe, just to cover all the bases.
That's also one that, depending on what word you bleep out, could make it sound so bad. Ooh, that one will go right into the slur vaults. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I mean, my favorite edits are when I bleep a very strategic word that makes it sound like you do say something so much worse. And they are.
Yeah.
you can act all offended and whatnot, but you do bust out laughing whenever I show you the edits. So,
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll get back to it,
So, did you like the movie? You did.
I did. I liked this movie.
Right.
I thought this was, okay. I think it's not the worst one. And I think you'll be surprised. I'll save it to the end when we're grading it, where I would rank it in the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah. All right.
Save it till then, but it's not the bottom.
I'll tell you, this movie left me so confused because there's a lot of good stuff and there's a couple things that I'm like, did I like it? I don't know. So I think your job today is to win me over. Get me on the right side of history here, Tyler. Once we dive into it, I need you to bring me over to the light side of the force and teach me your ways.
Look, Cody, you're out here. You're confused. Okay.
I'm saying I'm open. I'm saying tell me the tale of Darth Tyrannus or whatever his name is. And just...
It's not a tale the Jedi would tell you, Cody. That's what you don't understand.
Yeah.
Cody, what you don't understand, what they do is they invert their entropy that allows so they're not really going back in time, Cody. They're perceiving time. They're moving back. So it's like they're going this way while you're going that way, but they're going forward and you're going forward. You're just going forward in different directions. Okay. This is Tenet all over again. That's the joke. But I think you were so lost in Tenet that you don't understand that I'm referencing Tenet.
Oh, you're going to tell me that I saw Tenet twice and now I understand it. It takes at least 5 viewings, all right, to get that movie down.
I've never felt smarter in my life than walking out of Tenet after the first viewing, fully wrapping my head around the story and having everyone else be like, what just happened?
You know what's crazy is
super
there's
genius
a new
level.
Chris Nolan movie out this summer, and it's not one of like the mind bend ones. It's like man makes bomb. So I'm very curious, because it's not like a Memento or an Inception or an Interstellar or a Tenet where it's like, ooh, look at this heady concept we got going to base our action set pieces on. This one is some man wants to blow stuff up. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be interesting.
Here's the real important question that every man's got to ask himself. Every man, woman, and everything in between. Got to ask themselves, dog, cat, flea. I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't know what else would be on a spectrum. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to go see Barbenheimer? Or are you going to be a coward and just go see Oppenheimer or just go see Barbie?
I'm so ready for Barbenheimer. And then I brought it up the other day and Bailey doesn't even care to see Oppenheimer. She's like, you should go see that with some of our other friends. And I'm just like, it's the first Chris Nolan movie with a nudity rating. I mean, I got to find out who's naked in this movie. Is it Cillian Murphy's butt? I hope it's Cillian Murphy's butt, but there's a wide range of cast in that movie. You know what I'm saying? What are we talking? Front parts? Back parts? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This man's made like a dozen movies and I've seen just about all of them and I don't know that there's nudity in any of them except for maybe that one with the serial killer. But that might just be a dead body. You know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be sexualized nudity in this movie about an atom bomb. Does the bomb blow off everyone's clothes? I got questions. All right. I have to know. And Bailey doesn't care to find out with me. And that really, breaks my heart. I would love to do Barbenheimer. I would love to do it. I don't think maybe I'll get Bailey to see Barbie with me in the evening and I'll see Oppenheimer in the day or something. Maybe I can do it with 2 different groups or I got to figure it out. Problem is, everyone in my life is more excited for Barbie than Oppenheimer, which is fair, but I'm still a Chris Nolan fan, and I like the IMAX movies. So, I'm equally excited for both. Greta Gerwig is my girl. I got claim on Greta Gerwig. I've seen the Greta Gerwig movies, and everyone else is out here. They're like, Little Women was good. I'm like, have you seen Frances Ha? If you haven't, you're not living. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Like, I get you. But have you seen all the Barbie movies?
That's a good movie. I haven't seen a darn one, but I've heard only good things about them.
See, look, Here's the crazy thing that I found that I'm just going to drop a little tidbit on you before we move on from the Barbenheimer saga here.
Yeah.
Same budget.
Barbie and Oppenheimer have the same budget?
Yes, sir.
That's a fat budget then for Barbie.
Okay. Guess the budget.
Right?
I'll tell you, it's less than half of the Indiana Jones budget.
Oh, okay. Hold on then. Are we talking 80 million?
No, not that.
More?
That's crazy.
More or
Crazy
less.
person. You are an insane person, Cody. Coming out here with $80 million.
More? 120?
$20 million.
They made Oppenheimer for $20 million?
No. You're going the wrong way. You gotta go up here, Cody. You gotta go up, right?
Why don't
You're
you
going
tell me what
down.
the budget is?
The budget says here, I've got 100 million US dollars listed. All right. There's
Interesting.
nothing, no sources cited, but that's never stopped me from throwing this information out there before. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Here's all I know.
So they were both made for the same budget. They're both coming out on the same day.
This is the same
one
movie.
Is in black and white, and one is in pink.
It's the same movie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm figuring out. Also, did you say one is in black and white?
Yeah. I thought Oppenheimer is black and white. Or there are just scenes that are black and white?
There are scenes that are black and white.
I feel like they released some trailers early days that were like just in black and white.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
I think so. When it's like a recreation of an old timey like shot of Oppenheimer, like a real
yeah
piece of picture or video, then it's black and white. But the movie as a whole is a color. I'm looking at the trailer. I can't confirm. It's definitely in color.
There you go.
You're gonna send me out here to one of these crappy Boston IMAX screens.
Yep. Tyler, you're welcome back here in Kansas City anytime you like.
Cody, if I could, I would come back
The
there
door
just
is
to watch this
open.
movie. All right, because
Tyler, you gonna come do Barbenheimer with me? What
I
else
would
you got
love
going
to.
on?
I mean, here's what I got going on. Not having the several $100s for the plane ticket. That's the main obstacle that I'm encountering
that's a bummer.
on a daily basis, and it is a bummer.
I'll tell you this right now, Tyler. You're more likely to see Barbenheimer if you fly here to do it than if you try to do it there. You and I both know that's true.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. Tiffany's on board for Barbenheimer, so.
Wow, but it's Satan's rating, Oppenheimer.
Yeah, she don't care no more.
Wow, we did
Tell
it.
nobody though.
Don't put it out on a podcast.
No one listens to a podcast.
Oh man, there's at least 3 people that listen to these, dude.
Yeah,
so,
but that
show some respect.
Let's talk about the hurdles that this podcast. You've got to get. I have to combine. Your audio has to come out audible and usable for first of all, which we all both know
that's not happening.
Yeah, that's definitely not happening. Second off,
I'm watching my levels and they look rough, dude. They look really bad.
So I have to not accidentally delete my audio. Your audio has to be usable. You have to export the entire length of your audio file.
No
I
way,
have
I'm
to
not doing
combine them, and then we have to publish them. That's a lot of hurdles. Now,
a lot of steps.
You know, that's
Yeah.
I'm drifting so much further and further away from my microphone. I'm realizing, like I can see my levels dropping down. So I'm just gonna adjust here. You know, so before we get into spoilers about the movie that we actually went to go see, and I actually have a lot to talk about. Is there anything else you wanted to say about Indy?
Barbenheimer? Oh, no, I don't. I mean, yeah, no, I think we need to get all the way into it because I have a lot of thoughts and I need your help. This is not one Bailey saw with me, so I'm really counting on you to, yeah.
I have to explain all your notes
to talk about. Yeah, please.
Well, you know, I will say this is the first movie in a while that we got there on time for and got to see the trailers beforehand. Usually we're walking a solid 3 to 5 minutes into the movie.
Yep. I've been doing that. Oh, because the IMAX theaters here are 30 minutes of trailers. And then the non-IMAX ones, 20 minutes of trailers. So I have boned myself like 3 times in the last 2 months where I've showed up to a theater that was just like a small theater. I'm like, oh, I missed the first 3 minutes of this movie. Missed the first 3 minutes of Transformers. Missed the first 2 minutes of Asteroid City. Missed the first 2 minutes. There's another one. There's a few. All right. Anyway, I'm good to go.
All right. Cody, I need you to just hop up.
Oh, stumped him.
Hop on my tuk-tuk here. It's not what they're called in that place, but that's what they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hop in my tuk-tuk, Cody. Cody, slink your way into my tuk-tuk, all right? Get in there, all right? You gotta lean with the turns, okay? It's an underpowered moped, okay? We're going to get there. We're going to get to Spoiler Town, USA. Now, Cody, we're here.
Yeah.
We're in Spoiler Town, USA, which we all know is in Greece.
Yes.
Kentucky. And, because the grease from Kentucky Fried Chicken. Boom! Got him, Cody. You didn't see it coming. It came from nowhere. I brought it back around. All right. We're still in the U.S. It's fine. We're not going anywhere. All right. I'm not an insane, crazy person that wants to leave the United States. Right. Yeah. No matter how bad it gets here, Cody, this is still America. This is still the country that produced Harrison Ford and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Is she probably British? Yes.
100% British.
But I'm claiming her right now. All right. We're responsible for her. Okay. Would Britain exist without the United States? Ask yourself that. All right.
That's a great question. It definitely wouldn't be what it is today.
You know, Cody, to think about that next time you question,
It's like your friend who has a breakup and becomes like a wholly destroyed person afterwards. That's Britain right now.
Yeah.
200 years ago when we had our big breakup, Britain lost its way, lost its soul. What good has it done since then? Its empire has collapsed. You know what I'm saying? Our empire is still kind of around, sort of.
Let's talk about Britain for a second here.
They got that old school empire. That model's dead. All right. We're the new school empire where we don't admit we're an empire, but we do all the stuff that empires do. All right.
Yeah. We've diversified.
Like a cool guy.
We've embraced the Web 4.0, okay, to build our empire, okay? Here's the real thing, Cody. If you ever question how's Britain doing, how's them British Isles faring after the breakup? They left the group of countries that they helped found for the lulz, Cody. There was a survey when they did Brexit, and somewhere between 50 and 70% of the people who voted yes, leave the EU, did it as a joke because they thought there was no chance that it would pass.
Yeah.
It passed because so many people jokingly voted for it to pass. Let that sink in for a second.
That would be like if Missouri was like, should we just leave the United States? That would be hilarious.
It's so insane. It's like, you know what? Maybe you guys need to go. Maybe, you may not like King Charles, but maybe maybe the nobility was onto something here by not letting the peasants vote there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The poors, as I call them.
The poors. I feel like peasants is more derogatory. Serfs, can we call them serfs? That's kind of like calling them slaves.
Serfs is good, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Anyway, do you want to start or do you want me?
I don't know. It's so tough because it's like, I don't want you to yell at me. So, I don't know. It's like,
I'll start. I'll start if you want me to. I'll start. Okay. I'll start because I got some stuff. I got some stuff to talk about. We'll figure it out. All right, here we go. All right, Cody. Here's the thing. Let's talk about the big ticket item in this movie, and that is the de-aging. Okay, it's the thing on everybody's minds. Yes. It's what everybody's. Yes. You can't talk, Cody. This is my time. This is my 5 minutes. This is my rant. You shush. Okay. Let me tell you, when they and I think opposite of a lot of people, but I'm in line with other people. We all watched the same movie. The first time they whip the bag off of his head, I was like, "Is this a scene from an old movie?" For like a second, I was like, "This is from like I don't remember this in an old Indiana Jones movie. Is this like I thought I was so convinced. Oh my gosh. This is like a deleted scene from like Last Crusade or something like that. That's what this is. And they just found a way to weasel it in here. Okay. No, because the second stuff really starts happening and he starts moving and grooving and talking, you're like, oh no, this is Grand Moff Tarkin right here. This is Lucas. Here's the thing. Lucasfilms, look at me. Look me in the eyes. Look deep into my eyes. You're not as good at the face CG as you think you are. I understand you love the tech you built. It doesn't look good. I feel like there's better ways to do it. And the tech you're doing, it is fundamentally flawed somehow. It has not looked good once. You tried to do it with Tarkin. You tried to do it with Leia. You tried to do it with Luke. Now you're doing it with Harrison Ford with the Indiana Jones. All right, you got to stop. You got to stop. Just because it's like a video game, but a little bit worse. All right, like just render the scene in Unreal Engine 5. All right, because it's gonna look better than what you're showing me right now. But at the same time, there were some times where I'm just like, I feel like it was rushed. Like, that's what I kept thinking. Like, if you gave them 6 more months, which is a long time in a movie's production schedule, that's a long time, right? But I feel like if you went to these guys and you said, here's 6 more months to really fine tune all the lighting and everything, they could have freaking nailed this. So that's what I think this is this is video game tech with a movie timeline. And you can't do that, right? Because it's like, look, this stuff takes 10 years to make. You're trying to do it in a year and a half. You got to figure out you got to start doing this 5 years before the movie comes out or something, right? Like, I don't know how to make it work, Cody. Maybe you can make this work, but there were some scenes that looked so good that were like, this is a deleted scene from an old Indiana Jones. And there were some that I'm like, also, let's talk about how can they not figure out how people run? Why does it still look like they're running on the top of the Polar Express with Tony Robbins? Who is the guy? Tim Robinson. Who's the actor? Who's the guy that's in Polar Express? Tom Hanks. Tim Honks, as I like to call him, right? All right, Tom Hanks. Why do when they run, they always got their arms up like this and they're like... it's like Pinocchio running, look, animators, watch a human run for 5 seconds and figure it out. It's driving everybody nuts. All right. Here's the thing. Let's talk about the racist child sidekick. Is it racist? I don't know. Is he delightful? Yes. It's the same thing that all the child sidekicks are. Are they a little bit racist? Absolutely. Do you love them? Would you die for them? Yes. Okay. Was this one the most douche of all of them? Yes. Would I die for him? No. Would I get injured? Yes. I would get injured for this boy. I would sacrifice maybe a limb, but maybe not my life because he's not a small little Asian boy who was the best, right? Short Round was best, right? Thumbs up, thumbs down. He was the best, right? Thumbs up. Yeah. Just here's what I wanted you to do. De-age that guy. That actor, make him as an adult man, an old man, play a small child. We have the technology, obviously, right? That wouldn't have taken you out the movie. I mean, that's really I feel like it's the CG, right? The CG. See, okay, there's something other than the de-aging though. I thought a lot of the effects, fantastic. I thought all the other effects, so good. They reached it. Here's them, right? Here's them. They got a Duffy, Cody. That's what they call it. That's what these youths are calling it. They're calling it the Duffy. Okay. They reach into the Duffy and they're in there when they're making it. They're in their Duffy. All right. That's how you say they're doing it. They're doing their best work, right? They're in their Duffy. Okay. It's a duffel bag, I believe. I don't know. Maybe it's something different. I've always understood it as the duffel bag.
I'm going to have to cut you off right there. And let me dive into mine because here we go. First off, I don't know why I was nervous for you to go because you spent 4 minutes of your rant going over my first 2 notes. So I don't I don't know what I was worried about. Here's the thing. I disagree with you about the CG de-aging of Indiana Jones because I thought it looked good. I thought it looked really good. I was really impressed with it. And it wasn't even like any scene stuck out to me where I was like, oh, that one's obviously like I thought it looked great. There have been some bad ones and there've been some limited ones, but this one I thought was the first time we're like, oh, it was an extended scene. It looked good. And it's like, I forgot that it was old man Harrison Ford until bam, your middle and wide shots when you see his old man body. And you're like, hold up. That's not the young lithe body of like Carpenter, 20s and 30s year old Carpenter Harrison Ford. That is in his 70s Harrison Ford acting, So, I mean, aside from that, that's the only thing that took me out of it. I was like, well, you did not de-age the thighs. The thighs are still old man thighs, but look, it's just the way of the world. All right. But I have a note about, okay. My note is precisely this. I almost forgot young Indy was Harrison Ford until you saw the thick body. Also, why is there a CG guy running on the train? So it looks so awful. When he jumped, I was like, what human jumps like that? It was like you threw a rag doll over I don't even know what they were. I was like, if I were the director of this movie and I saw how bad that shot looked, I would have said, you know what? We don't need the shot. There's nothing about this shot that is necessary. If you show him on the train, we know he's on a train. I don't need a wide shot of him like noodle arming across. Oh, man. You know what I'm saying? You spent so much time making the face work and you did it. And then you showed just a CG dude that looks so wrong. Like Gumby jumping across the train. Oh, so good. Oh, man. All right. What's the other thing you talked about? Oh, I don't even remember now. Oh, man. Indiana Jones, young face, old bod. What else was it? Your job was to make me like this movie, and you spend your whole time complaining about CG. I love it, dude. I love it so much. Okay. I can do it. I thought the action scenes were good. Like you mentioned, the effects were good. I thought as a whole, more so than the fourth movie that most people did not like. I was like, this one, the lighting felt like an Indiana Jones movie. The plot felt like an Indiana Jones movie. The action set pieces were like well conceived. They did a pretty good job on all of that. I really enjoyed the cinematography. So, I mean, from that aspect, I thought they did a really good job of capturing like Indiana Jones. So I'm conflicted. On one hand, I was like, this was a pretty good Indiana Jones movie. Then on the other hand, there's a lot going on. I liked the Phoebe Waller-Bridges relationship with. I think it's the right way to go because sometimes, like in the fourth one, they're like, Mariam's back and she's doing the action too. I'm like, we got two old people doing the action set pieces. It's a little much. So it's also like the James Bond. It's like the Roger Moore James Bond thing where it's like, all right, he's 80 years old. Let's get him a 23-year-old to have sex with, And so they avoided that and they were like, cool. He's going to have a goddaughter figure and they're going to interact. I enjoyed their banter, and I thought it was a good way for her, because one of the themes they kind of go through is like Indiana Jones is like, well, I want you to do things for the right reason. But she's just like a little bandit and she, sells stolen things, and makes the money. And she woos the Grecian princes or whatever. I forget where they were at. You said Greece and you threw me off. And, she has a little young pickpocket, Artful Dodger guy, anyway, and she's horny. So she's around doing that stuff, but he's like, it belongs in a museum. Anyway, by the end of the movie, they kind of reconcile and she goes out of her way to save Indiana Jones, bring him back, reconcile with Mariam. And it's like, oh, she did something for the right reason. That's nice. She's a good guy again, Like Indiana Jones, who does he hate? The Nazis. Oh, he hates those Nazis so much. They're all over. Oh, they killed Shia LaBeouf in Vietnam. Can you believe that? They threw this man in the fridge so hard. He just wrote him off. Oh, man. They were like, Mariam's back, but she's not. They're getting divorced. Shia LaBeouf, we're going, he's dead. He died.
I'm going to have to cut you off right there.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, all right. Now tell me why I'm wrong.
Shia dirty. All right. They did him so dirty. First off, let's talk about the thing you got the most wrong. And you're not the only one. And it's very shocking. And I'm about to blow your mind. I'm about to shatter your universe, Cody. You got one core fact, like, so completely wrong.
Uh-oh.
That it blows my mind.
Tell me about it.
It's Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Uh-oh.
There's no S. Everybody says Phoebe Waller-Bridges, but there is no S. It's just Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Because there's another Bridges person.
There's Phoebe Bridgers. Oh, gosh, yes. Who's the singer? Ooh, here we go.
But yeah.
Here we go.
I've listened to several
Phoebe
podcasts.
Bridgers is the singer, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the writer.
But I listened to several other like reviews of this movie, and they all had like the same thing where like all but one guy would be like, "Oh yeah, Phoebe Waller-Bridges." And it's like, no, there's no S. Okay, let's talk about this. All right. First off,
can we talk more about how horny she is? I like that they were like, we're gonna remove the sex element because he's an old man now and he's got his goddaughter with him. But she's a lusty little lady. You know what I'm saying? She was after them boys, and I was disappointed she didn't do more banging. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was out here being like, oh, tasty, but then she never went in for the kill. You know what I'm saying?
Are you trying? Here's the thing. Let's be real for a second. Let's just take a step back. Let's analyze this boat that Antonio Banderas is helming. All right.
Okay, let's talk about this. How many seconds did it take you to register as Antonio Banderas?
Oh, 1 second. I mean, it was immediately like,
it took me 90 seconds. I was like, oh, it's that one guy from
Spy Kids.
And like after a minute and a half, I was like, oh wait, hold on. It's Tony B.
Oh yeah, he's there. And he's doing it. He's killing it. Let's talk about this boat though. You're trying to tell me this is a boat filled with some hot dudes. All right. These are hot dudes in skimpy clothes. They're hanging out together.
Yeah.
They're close together. Yep. They're out on the ocean together. They're real hot. They're all together. Yep. Hot dudes, very little clothes on. Here's the thing, Cody. I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't think she had much of a chance with any of these guys. I don't think there was much of a shot of her getting into any of these pants. All right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I don't know about you. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, it was a different time back then.
But
they found
she
a
was
safe
horny
space
everywhere she went. When they were in Italy buying pizza from the cart, she was like, that's a hot dude,
She was scoping
but they
the hot
did tease
dudes.
that one guy, the young guy on the boat for sure. But no, you're right.
Freaking dies. They cut his tube when he's under like 70 feet of water, which I can't imagine a more horrifying way to go.
Yeah. Sucking in a bunch of water and then you're dying while you're under there.
Well, it's like, I don't know what would kill you at that point. Would it be like a pressure change situation that would blow up your lungs? Would it be the drowning? Like what?
I don't know.
It's, the whole thing. But here's the thing. Okay. Let's step back for 1 second here to the movie as a whole. I think this was at its core, just like you said, this is an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
This could have come out, or with all the other Indiana Jones movies, and it would have fit. It's so good. Is it weird that Harrison Ford seems to have aged 1,000 years and Cillian Murphy is the same age? Also, that he took a steel pipe to the face at roughly 100 miles an hour and doesn't even have a scar.
Mads Mikkelsen. I was ready for him to show up with some crazy scar in his face, and then he's like, he's just here. What happened to his face? He should have a chunk out of his skull. He should have like a hole in his head.
Yeah. And
he should be missing his nose, or like he should have a prosthetic nose that falls off in the climactic final battle or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And even like the way that they kind of talk to each other and everything, it's like They even set it up like, oh, is it him? Or does he have like a twin brother? Or did he figure out time travel or something weird or something? You know, like, is he a clone? You know, what is going on here? But I feel like here's the thing that I wonder. If any of those things were kind of toyed around with, and then someone said that we're getting into Crystal Skull territory and said, pull it back. You know, like, we don't need that. He's just a Nazi. Here's the real lesson to be learned from this movie, right? Is that it really doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on, Cody. We can all agree. At the end of the day, we should all agree, right? And I think you and I agree on this, hopefully. I haven't checked with you beforehand, so we'll see. Nazis are bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that. You know, I
just finished my Nazi book, so we're good to go.
You know, I think maybe we should just go back to that, being the standard. I will say this. I do think Harrison Ford seemed to have enjoyed this role, this a lot more than, say, I felt like he wanted to do this a lot more than, say, the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, in Star Wars, he's like, every time he's like, I'll come back, just please kill me. He did that like 3 movies in a row, then finally they killed him, you know? Then they still made him come back the next movie. It's fine. That's beside the point. But
Cody, let's answer the real question, though.
Yeah.
Who turned on the lightsaber? Was it Han Solo? Was it Han? Was it Han? Was it Ben? Was it Ben?
Probably Han. Ben's a little wimp. Little wimpy boy.
I can't
Didn't have
wait.
The strength to do it. He said it himself,
Here's the thing. The reviews of this movie seem to be so mixed. So what I'm really excited for is for everybody to be like, this is a trash movie. And then 2 years from now, those same exact people will be like, I mean, that's the best Indiana Jones movie that they ever made. And I've always loved it. And I hate those people.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like, I was thinking about this. If you watched all 5 of these movies in order, like in a week, where it's like, hey, I watched them kind of back to back to back to back, what would you think about them? Because you have that there's the nostalgia for the original trilogy, and everyone loves the original trilogy, especially 1 and 3. But 2 is still fun, even though it's weird. And 4, it seemed like nobody really liked. And I think, but like the main thing you hear about people complaining about in 4 was like, aliens, that's crazy. But I was thinking about this. Number 1. Indiana Jones number 1, Ark of the Covenant, people's faces melt off.
Right.
Pretty out there. Number 2, a man pulls people's hearts out of their chests. The whole movie's out there, but that's like, for me, that's the one moment. And then in the third one, they talk to who? Is that Sir Lancelot? They talk to a knight who's like 600 or 1,000 years old or whatever. And like, that's the end of the movie is they're like, all right, the Holy Grail is real and you got to pick one up. So I guess the one different thing is like the first 3, they kind of deal more in religion, right? Because the first one's the Ark of the Covenant. The second one's a crazy cult. The third one is the Holy Grail. And then the fourth one, they went to Alien. And then the fifth one, they were like, well, we'll do just like straight up history. So that's like the one difference between the 2 sequels is they don't really deal in religious stuff. They deal more in, other artifacts. So like, is it that crazy that they went back in time? It isn't that crazy.
No.
But they do spend, it's a little weird to be like, the plane crashed, we're hanging out, Archimedes and I are here, we're vibing. My biggest problem with it is it's like, okay, if you're on a ship and you got harpoons and you're like, yeah, no, we got the towers, you got the ships, we fight each other. We're trying to take the beach. You know what I'm saying? Take the city, the fortress. Now you see a flying machine for the first time. You're telling me you're going to be equipped to shoot down a flying machine with your harpoon? You know what I'm saying? It's like harpoons are made for whales. Like, are you really going to be able to aim in the sky and shoot something going as fast as a bomber plane and be like, yeah, no, I got this. We're going to bring this sucker down. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to be able to shoot something flying with a catapult too? Because that's not what catapults are for. You arc it and it lands.
To be fair, there's a lot of things. One, the harpoons that the Romans had at that particular siege were definitely not meant for whales. Those are meant to go through a wall and pull it down.
Got it.
So I think here's the thing. Here's where they messed up as the Nazis. Okay. Here's where the Nazis done messed up. All right. Instead of staying way up high, because none of their stuff, it's not like they can point a harpoon straight up, you know, like their big ballista, as they would call it back in the day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that stuff's going to go high up in the air because it's got to get up over walls, the catapults, right? Is they're like, oh, we should fly down. And I mean, this is it's movie logic. It's especially, you know, it's adventure movie logic. That's really all it is at the end of the day. Let's fly down within Poonin range, you know? That's the reality of it, right? Because I mean, you take that, but also like by that same logic, firing a submachine gun from a moving plane at a tiny trireme. Well, it's not tiny, but I mean, like from your perspective, it's small,
right?
And hitting anybody, it's like, dude, it's hard to hit a person that's like 20 feet away with a handgun. Like, and you're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna mow down an entire ship's worth of people. You know, like
it was kind of funny because it was like, what era were they in? Late 60s?
When they did in the most of the movie.
What's the time frame? Is it 60s or 70s? I guess
so. It's 69. 70s? I only know it's 69 because that's when the moon landing was.
All right, so 69. They're living in 1969. The Nazi guy is wearing uniforms and they're flying a bomber plane from the 30s or 40s.
Right, 40s.
And then they travel back 2,000 years. So it's like, it is like a weird thing when you're like, we're in the 60s. No, wait, hold on. But we're in a 30s, 40s ship. But also we're in the year 200 BCE or whatever. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know. It was a whole thing.
Here's the thing. The only thing where they lost me on the time travel thing was when they were like, he made it to call for help. One, he's not done with it. Also, like, and they're like, it only leads here. Like, that doesn't make sense with the premise of this whole thing. It can't only lead there. But
yeah, I didn't.
So that was the only part where they kind of lost me. But I did think it was funny. I liked the whole thing. Here's what I kind of wanted them to do. Was I kind of wanted it to be like, oh, he gets sent back in time. Nazi guy gets sent back in time. But I understand this is, but you can't, it's harder because Archimedes is a beloved historical figure that did a lot to help people. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is what's going to happen. Something's going to happen. This guy's going to get sent back in time by himself. He is Archimedes. And he's going to spend the rest of his life trying to rebuild this dial to get back. Right? That's what I thought it was going to be. But that's not what they did. What they did was,
he go back there so that they can leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought it was cool. I mean, I thought the battle looked cool. And I do think, here's what I've found, right? You know me. I love history, right? Here's a fun fact for you. You know me. Every so often I toy with the idea of going back to school and getting a degree. And I've recently realized, like, professionally, I don't need a degree. So I could just go back and get a history degree or something, which is what I wanted to do originally.
Yeah.
And then I think that would be fun to work as an engineer. And then people be like, oh, what's your degree? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, ancient Roman history or something like that.
Yeah.
But like Rome did like attacks that would look like that, where it is like a D-Day-esque beach landing, like contested beach landing. They were very uncommon, but those did happen and Rome was good at them. And so it was kind of cool to see that, and like a very cool, because I think you can look at it as like, oh, it's a similar, I thought of it as like, oh, it's similar to like time frame, you know, kind of like there's a similarity you could draw, basically saying the Romans are Nazis, I guess. But, you know, really at the end of the day, don't you just want to see a Nazi get shot by a ballista from a Roman trireme? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Didn't that make it all worth it in the end?
Yeah, I think you're
right. Here's what I want to know.
Yeah.
These guys were marching in formation in just a random Italian airport in Nazi uniform. And they acted like they'd been doing it for a while. Like they've been there. And nobody's like, like it's one thing to be like neo-Nazis. It's like a whole nother deal, especially in like a former Axis country, to be walking around in full SS gear. Like that's like someone's calling someone over this. You know what I mean? Someone's getting a phone call.
Yeah. I mean, do they have... Look, I know here we have the Civil War reenactors. Is there the same thing in Europe?
Well, here's the problem.
Are there World War II reenactors hanging out in Nazi uniforms?
Here's the
Maybe
problem.
they were
with
just like,
this.
oh no, there's the cosplayers again.
So in Germany, it's illegal to dress up like the Nazis and have all that memorabilia. So that I feel like throws a bit of a damper on that crowd.
Yeah. Oh man,
they just shipped it all to America.
I just finished a book about Nazi Germany in the 30s.
Of course you did.
It's called In the Garden of the Beast by Eric Larson. It's very interesting, but it kind of chronicles the U.S. ambassador, his time there in the 30s. And like, I think a lot of people know that like Hitler met with Neville Chamberlain and was like, don't worry, we just want Poland, wink. And then Chamberlain was like, I think he just wants Poland. And, but what I found really interesting is that he had conversations like that with the U.S. ambassador like a few times. And so like, that's my favorite thing I learned about him was like, he would go into meetings and then act really sincere and be like, oh, I know it's a disaster the way they're treating these protesters. We're going to get it figured out, though. We're going to get it figured out. And then he leaves the meeting. He's like, I'm not doing any of that stuff. And so I thought it was interesting, just like, because I think everyone blames Chamberlain for it. But like he did it with a bunch of other politicians, too, where he was like, oh, no, I totally get you, my guy. And we're going to figure it out. I'll get to the bottom of this. Don't you worry. I mean, just the best stall tactic ever of like you go in a meeting with someone, you're like, oh, yeah, yep. Great idea. We're all on board.
Yeah, we'll circle
I'll see
back
in 3
around.
years when my army's all together and then I'll attack, We'll
circle back around on this one. We'll get back to, I'll have Steven look into this one,
Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, I randomly went down a rabbit hole looking at whole facts about that whole era, which, it's crazy, right? Here's the thing, Cody. I feel like we're close enough to it. We're 30 years in the future. Let me just throw us 30 years in the past and just drop this nugget on you. You know it. France was the bad guys in World War I. Now we're coming back to World War II. France, not in World War II at all. Funny enough. Look it up. Look at the belligerents. France, nowhere. Why? Because they lost immediately. And then they stayed lost until they didn't lose anymore. But I will like this thing. There's the story, France, right? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about how an entire French army went up against like two like British or like some like British or some Norwegian or northern country or something. Yeah, some countries like there's like two platoons, like a few dozen guys and like against thousands. And they're just like, you got us. You captured every single one of us. We surrender. And it's like, what did you expect to happen here, Germany? You were like, you guys work for us now. And it's like, what do you think this is, a video game, Hitler? It's not how this works.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cody, I don't know if you understand this, but if you take over a country, that army doesn't work for you all of a sudden. Right? That's not how it works. They hate you. All right.
Yeah.
Look, who hates Nazis the most? Indiana Jones. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Punches them. Let's talk about the CG a little bit more. You liked every single one of this de-aging CG?
I think so. I think they all worked for me. Like there might have been one or two that weren't quite as flawless, but like it was good enough that I was like, well, this is the best I've seen anyone do. And it was for an extended period of time too.
I will agree with that. It is the best. I just think it's not quite there. Now, I will say the reaction you had to me tearing into it over this is the same reaction I had to everyone else tearing into it. But because I think it's great, but it's like I firmly believe if they had another few months to just polish the lighting on his face in every shot, that there would have been 0 times where it would have looked bad. Because it was just certain times where it's just, that's always the problem is like the light reflecting off your skin doesn't look natural in their things as they got really fine tune it. I mean, overall, like I think the effects overall looked amazing in this movie. It's like some of the best. It made me remember like, oh yeah, ILM and like LucasArts are the like industry standard for this stuff. Like they're the ones that are out here doing the work. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You know, Disney's been not killing it lately. So it's like, have they all just been working on this, I'm guessing, and not doing like a lot of the other CG?
That's a good question.
You know, use some of that CG to take the shivering out of Little Mermaid. Make more characters black and make less characters shiver from the cold water. That's what I want.
You can just picture Javier Bardem poking his head out of the water now.
They did him so dirty. They did him dirty, right?
Oh, Javier. Another note I've got here is I thought it was really interesting to hear like a modern John Williams score. Oh, yeah. So some of these movies, it's like, oh yeah, it's based on the John Williams score, but we just had Ludwig von Göransson do it or whoever. And this one, it was scored by John Williams, but like he didn't, you know, typically his classic movies are so theme heavy, and it's kind of part of the fun of those old movies. And they like hardly use the Indiana Jones theme in this one. And it was like a much more subtle. And so I don't know if that was just how John Williams does movies now, or if it was just him, you know, it's like, oh, this is more the style. So I don't want to make it stick out as much, but I did think it was kind of interesting to hear.
Did you like it, or did you just think it was interesting?
I liked the score, but when I found out John Williams, I was like, I did miss, you know, I feel like they didn't really use the theme that much. And I kind of wanted to hear it a little more.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I thought it was a good score. Like, and it still was a little bit distinct from what I'm used to hearing from a lot of modern composers. So I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't, felt like he was missing his signature move, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like top to bottom, though, this movie is like the whole premise of the movie does really feel like very much taking Indiana Jones and dropping him in a new era. So you have those things where it is like the score is, I felt like it had the same feeling to it, but like you said, it is more modern. And then you have like the shots where he like pulls out his whip and like whips at everybody at the auction. And then they all just pull out their guns and point at him, which is funny because it's like, oh yeah, the whip thing would have worked in the old movies. And it's just not working. It's funny
because remember when the guy in the one, it's probably Raiders, but where he pulls out the scimitar, does all the twirling, and Indiana Jones just shoots him. You know, it's like that same thing, but happening to Indiana Jones, where he's like, I've got my whip. They're like, yeah, no, we're not worried about that.
Can I ask you a question? A very serious question here.
Okay.
It just popped into my head. What deal with the devil did John Rhys Davies make to not age? Because the man just stopped aging.
I know,
like 30 years ago, right?
You recall in like the making of Lord of the Rings, they talk about how you'd like take out the cast to a restaurant and be like, all right, we'll have 3 roast ducks and we want 2 of the pork thing and we want this and that, you know, and the man just parties, you know, He's just like that guy. I think it's that. I think he's out here preserving his body with like fine liquors and good eating. And yeah, he's been pickled. That's what I think it is.
So I'm looking at a picture of him.
I thought it was funny too, because like he's in the trailer and you're like, oh, they're going to do a classic adventure. And then in the movie, he's like, all right, Indiana Jones, let's do it. I'm going with it. He's like, nah, you're not going with me. You're like, oh,
yeah.
We brought back John Rhys Davies just to leave him at home.
Well, I kind of liked that moment, right? Because it is like, you know, he's like, I brought my passport. I could go with you. And he's like, no, it's not that kind of adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which I think, because I do feel like this movie really feels like this is more than I think they wanted it to be the Crystal Skull, but this really cements, I feel like it's like, all right, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones is like, the brand is never going to die, but like Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, this is probably the last time this is the last time he's the main character, you know?
Right.
And I feel like that was one of the like things that signaled to me that like, now that's not what we're doing here. You know, like this is, we can't be doing this anymore. You got, you know, cause he even says, it's not like, he's like, no, I'm not going on an adventure. He's like, no, you got people here. Like you got grandkids and a family to take care of. You belong with them. which is the same kind of message that I think they leave it with at the end of the movie, right? Where he's like, all right, you got a family and stuff. And well, he's got wife. His son's dead, Cody. I don't know if you picked up on that subtle hint.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice way to end the movie that it's like, hey, it's not just some big giant set piece thing. Even though they did that, but it was like, hey, look, let's put Indiana Jones and Marion together. Although, like, here's my thing. I don't even remember who is the leading lady in Last Crusader. Is it Marion again? Or is it someone new? Because the first movie is Marion, and then the second movie is random blonde lady, and they go at it hard. Yeah. I remember as a child watching Indiana Jones 2, and I was like, man, this is very sexual. And then who's in the third movie? Because then in Crystal Skull, it's a big deal that they bring her back in 4, and then they make it a big deal to be like, hey, we did a wedding scene. Isn't that nice? Didn't you like that? So anyway, I'm fine that they brought her back, but I thought it was a nice way to end the series with like that moment versus like, like you said, it's a different kind of adventure. So at the end, it's more about Indiana Jones being settled back at home and like being able to put that part of his life to bed, So, and I liked that it became more about his relationship with his goddaughter as well. So he did get to fight the Nazis and do the adventure, but it became about something else instead. So I think that part of the writing was pretty good. It gave him more things to work with. Although it is just weird when you kind of talk about someone all movie, but at least she made an appearance too. So they did like the where does it not hurt thing, and that's like a callback, right? So that's cute. It's cute, I guess. I mean, it's not that. Look, I pay money to watch old people smooch. That's why I'm going to the theater. Right? I want to watch retirees give each other kisses. So they nailed it.
Sean Connery.
Remember when Sean Connery was in Indiana Jones?
In the pictures. So I'm looking at the Last Crusade stuff. It's a different woman. It's a blonde lady, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of weird. It's like, it's always like it's like it's a different lady each movie, but in the fourth one, they're like, no. It was always Marion. And then I at least think it was handled a little better in this one, at least.
Yeah.
Elsa. Yeah. Oh, right. No, because but she's bad, right? Because she double crosses.
She is a Nancy. Yeah. So she is bad because she's a Nancy.
So there isn't is there a real love interest?
I think she goes.
The fake
I think she betrays
right?
them. Yeah. But then she doesn't at the end because she's with him when he drinks from the cup. He slurps out of that kip.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the only thing is like, it wasn't really. But they kind of paint themselves in a corner, right? In the fourth one, when they're like, look, it was Marion all along. So you had to address it a little bit. But then you have to, you got to spend time calling back stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I do feel like it kind of makes sense, right? Because the whole thing I think that they did to justify them having this special relationship or him staying with her is that, they had a son that he didn't know about. And then the son dies, which obviously is like, well, the whole reason we got married and made a family was because of this kid. And then he went off to Nam and died off screen when everybody was like, he's the next Indiana Jones. He's going to do it. And then they're like, nope, dead.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I have two other things for me. The henchmen. I could not catch the vibe of these guys. So the one guy is Southern, but also he speaks either Russian and or German. I was still trying to catch their vibe. And the big dude gave me Soviet vibes, which is maybe why I thought he was speaking Russian. So it was like a weird novelty act. Like the Southern dude who's also a Nazi, but who also speaks Russian. And then like the super big muscle dude. Well, I at least appreciated that the kid got to murder him. That was fun. I couldn't catch their vibe. I was like, are these super sinister dudes? I mean, they are, right? Because they keep shooting people. And then there's the CIA agent, which just almost felt like didn't need to be there. I don't know. What was up with the henchmen? Were they distracting you at all, or was it fine?
I felt like the henchmen were I also felt like the vibe was a little like weird, but also like they struck me as such, like old school Indiana Jones, like adventure movie sidekicks to the bad guy, like the huge dude, which I will have his nickname is the Dutch Giant. He is 7'2".
Yikes.
That is his height. He is a big boy. There was no, what's the word that they did with the hobbits to make him look tiny? What's it called? For perspective, something about perspective.
Force perspective.
Force perspective. There's none of that going on. He's just a big boy. He's a bodybuilder and a fitness model. He's Dutch. He could be the next, what's his face, who's also Dutch. Help me, Cody. My brain's going. It's going downtown. All right, it's going down the drain. He plays Dutch, Aragorn. Is he not Dutch?
Viggo
Mortensen.
I forget where Viggo's from.
Danish. That's what he is. He's Danish. That's right.
Danish.
Close enough, right? No one's going to call me on that one. Yeah, whatever.
Well, he was born in New York, so.
Yeah, it's like mom's Danish or something. I think, or dad. One of them's Danish. I thought he had an accent because, like, one interview
American, father's Danish.
Their father Danish. It's like Timothy Chalamet. What did we decide to start calling him, actually, to take away the whole thing?
Timmy C? Or?
Timmy C. There you go. Yeah.
Take away the mystique.
Mystique, the whole thing.
Oh, can you imagine a Viggo Mortensen Indiana Jones movie?
I mean, it would be good, right?
Oof. All right. Okay. Here's the thing. The other thing is they tried to do all the signatures of the Indiana Jones series, so I appreciate it. But did they earn that creepy crawlies scene? There was the one with all the bugs, and there was also the electric eels. And they were like, eels look like snakes, remember? Eels, snakes, eels. You know, it's like, here's the thing. If I recall correctly, Rare's Lost Ark, it's like real snakes. They just like jump a bunch of small snakes in there, right? And that's, so they earned it. And in this one, when you do the CG creepy crawlies, unless it's like the scene in the Peter Jackson King Kong movie where you're like, no, we're going hardcore horror mode. It's like, did you really earn it? I need some real animals, or I need some straight up like horror creatures. You know what I'm saying? Like, did it seem like it didn't even need to be there? Am I crazy?
I do feel like it seemed like it was there in place of a snake scene, but it was like we already had the eels, so it was kind of weird. But it's like it felt like in storytelling, when it's like, all right, something like an event needs to happen to like shove them along, but then you have like the gas that shoves them along. So it's like, it did feel like it was one of those things where it's like, this probably could have just been cut, and maybe have like one bug, and I would have been, because I feel like it would have achieved the same kind of thing if you'd had like one bug crawl over Indiana Jones, had him kind of freak out and have her like flick it off of him, you can be like, she's a powerful, independent woman that don't need no man to squash her spiders. You know what I mean? Could have had that moment.
Yeah. But it did. Did you not like Phoebe Waller-Bridge?
No, I liked her.
Gave me a little grimace when I ranted about it.
Well, I gave the grimace because you call her Phoebe Waller-Bridges. And I was like, I've got you. No, I thought she was good. I didn't like her at first, and she won me over. I didn't like not like her thing. I just like, I found her character as like, being the stealing the stuff and selling it unlikable at first. But I mean, that's what you're supposed to think, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I thought she did a great job. I think if they keep making these movies where he's like moves into the role, or maybe Harrison Ford moves into the role that old man had, where he's just like the old man kind of tagging along. Because like, oh gosh, Cody, I already said his name earlier. He was James Bond. This is like the 18th time I've forgotten his name talking to somebody about these movies.
Sean
Mendes?
You said James Bond.
He was James Bond.
Sean Connery? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
All right.
Sean Connery. So, because I should see them making more movies where Harrison Ford fills that role of like the old guy that kind of bumbles along behind them. And they're always like having to pull into the tank to be like, stop almost dying, old man.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's great. As far as a person, an actor to pin this on as a possible like person going forward, I think she's a good one to go with.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it to Antonio Banderas, can you? Because he dies.
Yeah, they murdered a lot of people.
I also liked that scene too, where there's like, she has the like Indiana Jones, like old adventure movie, like, haha, we did it. We solved the riddle. We're doing it. We're escaping. We won. And Indiana Jones is sitting there like, my friend was just murdered.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you would have been the guy that's like, yeah, we did it, you know?
Right.
Before.
Yeah.
So I like some those scenes where it's like, oh yeah, no, he is becoming that old guy that's like feeling the impact of all this adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I do think it's really funny that I thought when they showed him shirtless, I was like, why'd they have to do him dirty like that? And then I hear reviews from older people in their like 30s and 40s, late 30s, not like yourself, Cody, but like people
Not
who are
early
starting
30s
to
like
really
me.
feel old, who are really
Mhm.
more like mid to late 40s. And they're like, man, I would murder to look like him today. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess he does. He does. Oh, I guess,
I had that thought. I was like, I mean, for as old as he is, it's a decent bod, but it's also not supposed to be showing off. It's like,
he's supposed to look old.
this is a
It's the
grumpy old
boxers.
man, like,
It's the boxers that did him dirty, right?
wiggling around.
He's got the way back shoulders of an old man.
Telling people to turn down their magical mystery tour. What Beatles song was it?
You're
Yeah,
You're asking the wrong guy.
for the mystery tour. Yeah, it's mystery tour. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think they picked a pretty good director because, hey, it is not the first time travel romance that James Mangold has directed. If you've ever seen Kate and Leopold, which, yes, we're talking Meg Ryan, we're talking Hugh Jackman, star-crossed time travel lover. So, I mean, it's not he's directed one of those. He did Walk the Line, 3:10 to Yuma, Night and Day. So he's done action. He did The Wolverine. He did Logan. He did Ford versus Ferrari. And now he's on Indiana Jones. I think they picked a good director for the movie. I think we talked about how like the effects looked good. I think the writing was like 80% there. I don't know. I think they could have dialed back the final stuff just a bit. I don't think it's like Crystal Skull where it's like, this is not salvageable. For me, it was just like, I don't know.
Can
Whatever.
I hit you with
I liked the movie. I don't know. I still don't think it's as good as the original trilogy. Maybe you could put it up against Temple of Doom. Maybe, but I liked Temple of Doom. I haven't seen it in forever, but I really enjoyed it as a younger. I was one of the weird people that like thought Temple of Doom wasn't bad. I liked it. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how you would rank all five. But what was the other thing you were going to say?
Oh, so the Crystal Skull. I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier. The people who are like, it's just not Indiana Jones drives me nuts because I heard so many people when that movie came out, they were like, yeah, but it's like aliens and like space. And I'm like, but everything is magical in all of the other ones. Like they act like they're like, the whole thing is that it's not magic. It's just history. And it's like, but there's magic in every single one of the movies.
Right. Yeah.
He literally drinks from the Holy Grail in the last movie before this one. And then you're like, aliens, this is too much. It's like, okay.
I hear you. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
It drives me nuts. Like, I think it's weird. Here's my biggest gripe with that movie is they tried to modernize it a little too much, and they tried to rely too much on bad CG.
Right.
Which is a thing that, I mean, Lucasfilm is I feel like they're kind of known for being a little too confident in their CG at this point, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's a big thing with the prequel trilogy, you know, like where, you know, like George Lucas was just so excited to do all this stuff that he didn't stop to think like, does this look good?
I mean, and you know, in his defense, right, he bootstrapped his way through 3 Star Wars movies that all looked great, you know, looked really good, especially like, I don't know. So, I mean,
all these people out here saying,
I get why he would have that confidence to do it.
All the Star Wars movies, Cody, they're all equally good. The original trilogy is good. It's a masterpiece for the time. They're all goofy movies that aren't very good at their core.
That's what I'm saying about this one. Is like,
it's goofy.
Is it better or worse than the original trilogy of Indiana Jones? It's hard to say because that one people experience in such a different way versus this one. So I do think the movie was made with a lot of quality. It was written fairly well. We talked about there were a lot of great effects. I think the action pieces were good. I think like the spirit of the movie was there. The characters were pretty, especially like Indiana Jones and his goddaughter. I thought good choices for characters, plus little sidekick boy. We discussed that. So, I mean, I think this movie has a lot going for it. I think it was pretty well made. It's a hard movie to make. Like the last Indiana Jones movie was 15 years ago. It was 15 years ago and it wasn't that well received. And the one before that was, was like what, 87, 89? We're talking about a series that was made in the 80s that they made one in 08 and now they're making a final one with Harrison Ford in 2023. So it's a tall order. For how tall an order was, it was pretty good. Was it necessary? Yeah, I don't know. It was decently well made. So I'm just conflicted because for me, it wasn't the same magic I had watching them as a kid, which of course, how could it be? Right? Because it's different. I don't know. So I don't know how. I'm trying to think of my grade for this movie, and I think I'm still stuck in the same place I was. I don't know. You did your job to convince me to bump my grade up at all.
So here's what I'll say. If I had the choice, like if I had all of them on the rack, on my DVD rack, right, and I'm gonna pick which one I'm gonna watch, I'm definitely picking this one because as much as you as much as anybody will be like, but the old ones are so. It's like every old movie is old at its core. You know what I'm saying? Like they can be good, but they are old. I feel like this has that spirit of the old movie, but new effects, new storytelling. Like I think this is, in my opinion, this is kind of tighter and doesn't, have as much like racism and sexism as the old movies. So they would win out. But I think this one is tied, in my opinion. So in my ranking, I like the first one. I think the first one is just kind of like, the first one of any storied franchise is, you can be
the
looked
lightning
at as
in
like,
a bottle you're trying to recapture.
But I think it's tied for kind of second place in the series with Last Crusade in my mind. I also didn't dislike Temple of Doom, but I like the other two better. I think Temple of Doom is just kind of like it's too wet. But I still thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's hard. When I was a kid, I would say that Temple of Doom was my favorite. And I just don't know if I rewatched it, if I would feel the same way. And like, I remember Raiders being especially slow for the 3. Yeah. Like it's a much slower paced movie and a little more grounded. Until the faces melt off, it's a little more grounded. I don't know. So, I mean, I would still kind of put this below the original trilogy, but I wouldn't say it's a bad movie by any means. Whereas like Crystal Skull, I don't know that I want to go back and watch that. And partly because of what you talked with the effects and like, I don't know, trying to squeeze Shia in there and also doing all the scenes with Marion and, so I don't know. I would still maybe put this one 4 out of the 5, but like, it's not a disrespected 4th. I still thought it was like a solid movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think this feels like a worthy sequel, right? To that original trilogy.
Mm-hmm. What do you say? So what are you going to grade this one?
I think this one, I think the biggest detriment I have for it, honestly, is, that I feel like they just rushed the de-aging guys a little bit too much. I feel like those guys are really honing their craft, and if they just gave them enough time, they just don't. That's taking it down to I'll do B+. I think the story overall is enough that like it'll bring the weirdness of some of the CG will bring it down, but not enough to like really tank it below like the B+ mark.
I think I'm gonna stick it. I looked at my movie list too, and it's just like the other things I've seen this year, I just don't know that it quite.
I will say this.
I don't know.
This was the first movie in a long time that I left the theater smiling. I was like, that was so much fun. I loved watching this movie. This
is so hard. I'll go B. I'll give it a B. I was going to go B-, but we'll go B. And we'll call that a win for you because I was going to go B-.
Yeah.
There was a lot to like. There was some good banter. And I mean, for how good the movie looked, that is, that's a big win because it wasn't like Little Mermaid, like you said, where there was just some things that were so bafflingly bad. Like the stuff that was bad was because like, well, if you had more time, you could have made it look perfect. Where Little Mermaid, as much as a lot of the movie looked pretty good, there was also stuff that were like, you did some people real dirty here,
Yeah. I mean, I would be very interested if they did some kind of like director's cut version of this or something where they're like, let the guys go in, just be like, yeah, have another month touching up the lighting on these scenes, because they can go up and touch those things up way after the fact and put that out. I think, but I mean, that might be like a waste of time for him, but I think like for my dad, I remember talking to my dad who loves Indiana Jones. He's the one that, made me watch him. He loves Star Wars. He loves Indiana Jones, not growing up. He was an adult when they came out. But like, I think for him, this is going to be like A plus, right? But I've never been I liked Indiana Jones a lot. I guess I was a pretty big fan of it. But like, I watched like young Indiana Jones and stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah. So
it's like, I liked it, but I've always been a bigger fan of stuff like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But this is it's a campy adventure movie set in a more modern setting. And I thought it was good. I thought that was, classic, him being like, no, you got to protect history museum. And then in this same breath, destroying so many artifacts.
Knocked over the whole. Yeah.
Like knock stuff over, lights like this like precious tablet that's been like lost to time on fire,
Yeah, man, that was a good one. That CIA lady was such a funny character because she's like, hey, you can't shoot people, and then they shoot a bunch of people, and she's like, they shot people, and then they shoot her. You're like, well,
yeah, she felt that. I mean, the CIA thing felt real pointless.
And not that it wasn't nice to have Sala in there, and it wasn't nice to have the CIA lady in there, but like, you get rid of those two characters, you save yourself 10 minutes of this movie. Like, there's just a few things where I think they were trying to do, you could have tidied the script up a little bit and saved yourself a little bit of time and got in and out faster, which I think there's value in that. But not that it isn't nice to see John Rhys Davies. It was nice. But when your job is to be like, I'll give you a ride to the airport, and that's like your scene, you're like, man, I get it. It's a franchise. Cool. We love him. But also it's weird to have John Rhys Davies playing an Egyptian man. Like you talk about the old movies being like a little bit sexist. It's like, what's John Rhys Davies playing an Egyptian man for? I don't know. Here's a question, and not that anyone could ever answer it. John Rhys Davies, what is he? Is he British?
Well, he's Welsh.
Is he one of those Americans?
Welsh. What? How dare you?
There you go. So, I mean, he's ethnic. He can play whatever he wants.
I was trying to look and see, like,
he's that ethnic kind of British,
or his, like,
he was born in Salisbury, UK.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Look, Wales.
No one knows.
You're out here trying to pretend like
you're
a
spouse
country.
from 1966 to 2010, and then a partner from 2004 to current day. So
yeah. What?
You dirty dog.
I'm trying to figure out,
He does have a great voice, doesn't he?
He does. He does. He's just such a, he's one of those guys. You know what I mean?
Man.
He was raised in Tanzania.
Oh, there you go. I'm conflicted, Tyler, because I was like, oh, should I watch Indiana Jones movies leading up to this one? And I didn't even do it. And then there's a new Mission Impossible coming out, and I've only seen like 2 Mission Impossible movies. And now I'm like, am I going to watch all the Mission Impossibles before the new one? And it's like, there's no way I'm going to do it. But also, like, I haven't seen 2 through 4. I've seen like 1 and 5 or 1 and 4, whatever it is. I've seen the one before this one, and I've seen the first one.
I mean, here's the thing. I think we should watch them because they are all fantastic for different reasons, in my opinion. And I haven't seen the most recent, like 3. But
I remember watching the one and being like, all right, Tyler, we should do this for the podcast. And then you never saw it.
Look, we're not talking about that.
Because I was like, all right, there's someone in here that I'm guessing she was in the previous movie because there's a whole thing about it. I was very lost.
I probably wouldn't have been able to help you. Here's the real thing. Okay. Right. shout out to the marketing team for this movie, because I've been seeing little snippets of like behind the scenes stunt stuff for what feels like 3 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so now whenever I see the trailers, I'm like, I know I have like an encyclopedic knowledge of like all the behind the scenes of all the stunts from the trailer. And I'm like, is this the same team that did like the Smile marketing? Like these people are freaking geniuses. All right.
Yeah.
Like, did you know when he rides that bike off of the cliff, the only difference between the behind the scenes and the real life is there's a thin plywood ramp that he goes off of. Other than that, it's exactly the same. There is no CG to that. He literally just rides a dirt bike off of a humongous cliff. Not even the height is the height of the cliff that he actually rides off of. Because there's like a clip of him doing it and the director sitting there like with his like whole like biting down on like all 4 of his knuckles. And then like the parachute pops and he's like, oh gosh, thank you. Oh, he's like so terrified that Tom Cruise is gonna freaking die. I saw that
Tom Cruise was really upset that like they're because he's releasing this like this weekend or next. It's the weekend before Oppenheimer. He's like Oppenheimer. He's like mad when he found out Oppenheimer is going to take a bunch of IMAX screens from Mission Impossible Fallout. I'm like, dude, what did you think? It's a Chris Nolan movie coming out. It's had this date for a while. I don't know why he was surprised. Like you should have put it up a week or back. You should have swapped it. I don't know what you were thinking, dude. July's a hotter month to do, right? And there was way too much stuff in May and June. So I get, but I'm like, I don't know. They should have done it July 4th weekend. Instead, nothing else was coming out except for like Indiana Jones, which didn't like pop off huge. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? It's a Chris Nolan movie. He's the IMAX guy. No one's more IMAX than like Chris Nolan.
Went out of his way to like go out and like ask theaters to be like, hey, please, please.
But it's also like that one's an R-rated one, so like it's not gonna have as much staying power as Mission Impossible. So I don't know. It'll be fine.
I will say that did you see like box office versus budget for Indiana Jones, by the way?
No.
So hazard a guess at the budget. I think a lot of it goes to like the CG.
180. 180
more, way more.
220
more.
250.
Yeah, so it's 247.
Inflation's getting wild out here.
And so it's made about
money.
So sorry, no, that's the box office. The budget is 250 to 300.
Oh wow, so it's like just gonna clear. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, no, that means and everybody's gonna blame it on Disney Plus.
It'll trickle in, but it's not gonna. Wow. Dang. All right.
Disney.
Ooh, it's crazy. Well, Tyler, we did it. We watched an Indiana Jones movie. Got more movies to watch coming your way. Oh, well, that's all I got. B+ for you, B for me.
We did it together as a team.
Could have been worse, Wasn't as wet as Temple of Doom, but, we'll forgive it for that.
If you disagree with that, that's like the perfect way to sum up that movie. It's like it's too wet.
It's wet. It's real wet. Oh, all right. Well, thank everyone for listening. We are Opinion Havers. Find us where you find us. Share us where you share us. Yell at us on the social media. I'm sure we'll get on Threads here in a minute. And until next time, watch movies.
And have opinions. I made a Threads account, and I was disgusted to find that you hadn't done it yet.
Oh.
You know what made me finally do it?
What?
Elon's tweet, Zuck is a cuck. That's what I was finally like, all right.
What? That's a real tweet?
Yep. I double checked. Yep, that's a real one.
Oh, man. Oh. The fight's back on, baby. That's why he did it. That's why Zuck did it. He was like, no, I'm getting this fight.
Yeah. Who are you putting money on, Cody? Tell me right now. Tell me right now for the people.
Zuck. I got to go with the young buck, Zuck.
Oh, yeah. Zuck is going to murder Elon Musk.
Oh, man. Okay, how about this? Okay, I have a new fight. It's Elon Musk and his kids that will talk to him versus Mark Zuckerberg and Elon's kids that won't talk to Elon. All right, so it's Zuck and the estranged Musks versus Elon Musk and the kids that do talk to him.
So
what do you think?
That's just Zuckerberg and all of Elon Musk's kids beating Elon Musk to death. That doesn't seem fair at all.
Yeah, but it's karma, though. Okay. But Elon Musk on his team, he gets the original founders of Facebook that betrayed Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, how about that? Okay, Mark Zuckerberg and a bunch of kids versus Elon Musk and the 2 characters from Social Network. What do you think?
The Winklevoss.
What do you think? Twins? Come on. The Winklevosses, and you get Andrew Garfield's character, too.
Oh, Spider-Man, you know.
How about that?
I don't have a lot of faith in him. We
what
also
if it's
get
the Winklevoss twins, but it's just Army Hammer. You just get one.
Just one.
But with an outfit change.
Yeah.
You can change outfits during the fight.
They dress him up like Two-Face. It's 2 suits. Down the middle. He has to turn sideways. He has to fight turn sideways.
It's the same face. All right. Yes, get out of here, Tyler. It's time to go. It's bedtime.